After Jackie Chun put in his audition for the XXL Freestyle Exhibition for 1985, the battle between him and Big Krill could finally get underway. In the battle of Gen Alpha versus the Boomers, Krillin had something to prove and was determined to put Unk to sleep before his nightly trazodone even had a chance to kick in. For somebody that got quite literally zero training in hands from the Turtle Hermit School, young Krill was doing his OG proud, coming at Roshi's Cuzzo with a nasty barrage of punches and kicks that you could tell even had the big homie off guard. He fully intended to big bro Krillin out there, ending the fight without even really using his hands for real like he did for the Wolf Fang fraud in the early matchups. But 18's man proved who the real dog was, and in short order made Jackie throw away any idea of winning this matchup with a ridiculous handicap, and that he might have to start taking the little naked mole rat in front of him a bit more serious. Granddad immediately locks in and hits the homie Krill with a mantis strike, sending the cue ball straight into the quarter pocket of the arena. All Yamcha and Goku on the sidelines could do was say damn as they watched Gen Alpha stocks plummet after that single strike from the resident Boomer. The worst part was, Krillin couldn't even see the hit. Krill sat there in shock wondering how he managed to get hit so hard he started bleeding from his non-existent nostrils when Goku stepped in to coach his mans. Krill wasted no time letting his nappy-headed brother know that the last slap had him contemplating retirement. That was all he needed to see to know he wasn't built for this. Goku looked around a minute, because he was unsure if that scent he was catching a whiff of in the air was leftovers from Bacterian or the unfiltered bitch pheromones Krillin was currently putting off. He looked his mans in the eye and leveled with him, telling bro that they boxed in the same gym for the past year and a half, so if he could see that slow-ass punch the old man threw, there's no reason little bro shouldn't have been able to peep it too. Krillin, refusing to get little bodied by Goku yet again, stood back up 10 toes in his Fei Long 11s ready for round 2. Jackie tried it again. Certain Dwayne Johnson was still a little bit too wet behind the ears to peep the kind of whoop ass he was serving up. But Krill dug deep and didn't invert his gaze as the punch made a beeline for the shiniest part of his dome. In an instant he backflipped though, and the crowd was confused about what happened, and annoyed Jackie had to give it up though, as the young fella might have a little bit more juice than he may have realized. If Nephew was actually able to match his speed, he had to give real props to whoever his master was, because the way he was moving out here was quite frankly unnatural. Krill fell for the bait, hook, line, and sinker as it took everything in Jackie's person and not mess up his sciatica again, hopping on his own pole during the glaze session the young boy with alopecia was giving him. But all good things must come to an end, and the two warriors stared across from one another, determined to give each other a fatal blow. They took to the air and in the flash of a single manga panel, ended up on opposite sides of one another, with Krill apparently getting the worst of the exchange and falling over flat as Goku damn near died of shame watching his Cuzzo get put on a shirt by this geriatric menace. This part was mad fun though, because as Krill managed to stand up for the count, announcer homie comes over and asks the two for a play-by-play, since at this point they are moving too fast for the audience of lay folks to keep up with. Big homie Toriyama had way too much fun writing for this part, you could tell, as Jackie, more than happy to take the mic, shed some light on what the absolutely absurd happenings were in the ring during that split second. Krill and Mr. Chun took center stage and began a slow motion recap of the sordid affair, starting off with the two rushing to the center of the ring. Roshi threw a kick. Krill, being as high challenged as he is, had no issues dodging and threw a haymaker preparing to knock the geezer's toupee off. But old fellow's not above biological warfare and shot an absolutely foul piece of hawk tool on his fist, leaving him stunned. Krill, petty as hell and nearly positive this old ass man might have given him HIV, revealed that he activated his Sharingan during that fight with Bacterian and stole a snot rocket technique to get back at the old fellow on some petty stuff. At that point, both of them ran out of ideas for moves, so they decided to Rochambeau to see who would take the L and go back home guaranteed no hoes. Jackie, being the kind of fella he is, hit Krill with the hood classic, you dropped your pocket tech. Buddy was raised in a trap house somewhere in East Asia, so he ain't know any better. Looked away and took a mollywop into the back of the head, temporarily putting him to sleep. All this in the span of a picosecond, mind you, because they're just that nasty with it. The crowd was in an uproar as these two Goliaths among men gave a sneak peek into some of the inside baseball. But as they took their fighting stances again, Krillin hated to admit it, but Unc was tough. And as much as his pride may have wanted him to, he wasn't winning a straight-up boxing match against the old fella's grown man strength. So he decided it was time to get creative. He knew a surefire method to get any old man with intimacy issues off their game. While the arena was in disarray, Krill took it upon himself to loot the unconscious corpse of Ron Fon for her underoos like it was a Skyrim Lovers Lab modded campaign. The battlefield was no place for morality, and so the monk threw the undergarments directly in front of Jackie like a starving dog. And in much the same way a starved hound would find it impossible to resist the presentation of a juicy steak in front of him, so too could Mr. Chun never hope to deny the faintest whiff of the pleasures of the flesh. Unfortunately, this was a bloodline trait that both he and his big cousin shared. And as soon as the lecherous pugilist made his way into Krill's minute striking distance, the young warrior sent Jackie flying into the stratosphere like the home run bag and smash at 500%. Jackie couldn't believe he fell for the old musty panties in the center of the ring gag yet again. That was the oldest trick in the book. And as he shot like a speeding projectile past miles and miles of city blocks, reviving curse words that hadn't been uttered in centuries, in order to not break tournament rules, Chun had to act fast and decide there was only one way out of the predicament he found himself in. As he uttered the familiar incantation, a burst of light emerged from his hands as Jackie used the force of the attack to quickly propel him back into the ring and right into the fight. The YNs would not be taking the crown from his old ass digits that easily. Everyone in the crowd could not believe it. Those in the know recognized that attack as Master Muten Roshi's Kamehameha wave. He was the only one in the world known to understand the secret of that art, and yet here, directly in front of their eyes, Jackie Chun just pulled it off as well. Did Roshi pass the technique down to his little cousin in an effort to keep the secret sauce in the family? This fella Yamcha started geeking, because now he was like 86.5% sure that this dude Jackie wasn't just Roshi's cousin. He might even be in identical twin territory or something now. As Jackie finished up his aura farming in the ring, he looked upon the opponent and informed him matter-of-factly that if either of them was going to have anything left in the tank for the finals, it'd be good to skip the foreplay at this point and race to the finish. He was old and he didn't have the same stamina he had back in the days when he was off them horse tranquilizers and honey packs. In disbelief that this old fella let all that come out of his mouth without tracing no ditty in sight, Krill felt he had only one recourse left. Despite his best attempt, subterfuge didn't work. But there was more than one way to use your head. So Krillin, after being given the A1 advice from his corner man Goku to just win LOL, greased up the top of his dome and charged forth with a hellacious fury. He was about to give this old man that second form Frieza special and gore him with the smoothest part of his cue ball to the end of the fight. The destructive force of Krillin's raw dome was outrageous, but unfortunately for him, this old man Jackie had been around the block, and a one-dimensional rush attack like that was going to do very little to put his adult depends in a twist. Krillin was desperate and continued his assault, but as he inched closer, the old man seemed to just disappear out of thin air. Questioning if he might have the beginnings of CTE after crashing into that wall, Krill heard the faintest hint of Goku's voice before the entire arena went black. Jackie gave the young bull the double Spock special, and after straining and ensuring he scared all the hoes within a 13-mile radius, Krill went to sleep as Roshi hit a double peace sign victory pose behind the young warrior and put a breadstick on the board for the greatest generation. Young Krillin was carted out in a stretcher, and the match was decided. Post-fight, Krillin was getting spit roasted by the likes of both Jackie and Goku, talking in his ear absolutely foul about how he just got folded. I genuinely could not think of a more nightmarish blunt rotation than having the dude who literally put me to sleep and Son Goku of all people telling me how sorry I am while I get laughed out of the stadium and I'm still recovering from third-degree bone-itis. Yamcha comes up on the Scooby-Doo timing, telling the fellas, look Krillin, I know you almost got removed from the census by Jackie Chun, but whole time it was old man Jenkins, and in a moment of incomprehensible disrespect, grabs the old dude's pompadour by the scalp and prepares to rip it off at the seams. As Jackie howled in pain, he let nephew know he was about 1.5 seconds from getting a pair of size 7 Dockers permanently lodged in his anal cavity, but Yams was too dumbfounded to care. It appears the identity of the mysterious Jackie will have to remain a mystery as we hang up the gloves and call it to the next match, where Goku and Nam will face off as we move another step closer to the grand finals. One warrior, motivated strictly by curiosity and the love of the game, and the other a sense of duty to his dying village, who will face Smile Upon in the semifinals match of the World Tournament. Only one way to find out. Be easy, y'all. Catch you again in the next video.